Okay guys, so welcome back. I thought it was really important to do an assembly this week, because I think everyone feels, and maybe adults feel, that we've really started the school half term in a really uncertain way, and you watch the news and everything just seems a little bit miserable. We have the uncertainty and intolerance that seems to be happening across Europe at the moment, with some horrible attacks in France and Venice. We had that report, the Labour Party, about anti-Semitism in the country. We've got the great uncertainty, even as I'm speaking today, about what's happening in America and what's happening with the election. And of course on Saturday we had the big news, which is most pertinent and most important to you, of the lockdown for the next month in this country and how that's going to affect us all. So I just thought that we can start in the most miserable way possible, or we can really think about what's gone well for us since September and how we're going to take those things forward. So the first thing I think we should be reflecting on as a school is how well we did in the first half term, how well we did in those first 8 weeks, okay? We went into our bubbles and we stayed in those bubbles pretty much. Not completely, we're all human, we all make mistakes, but generally speaking, we've stayed in our bubbles and we've stuck to the rules that we've put in place to make sure that we're as safe as possible in the school and in the community. Also, I think we did a survey with the staff at the end of term to say how they felt the term had gone, and everybody spoke about the lovely atmosphere in the school. And I think it's fair to say that I've noticed that when I do my lunch duties and all of those things, you see students really interacting well together. You see students sitting and eating in the community. There's practically no litter around the school. No child leaves their tray on the table in the restaurant. Everybody seems to be working together as a school, a real embodiment, in fact, of the Elm Green Way. But one phrase I really like in life is that if you are persistent, you will get it, and if you're consistent, you'll keep it. And I think as we move into this next half term, particularly with the lockdown that we have coming up, that we really, really need to make sure that we were persistent. We got a good atmosphere in the school, we've done some really good things, but now we need to be consistent and keep those things going, because the second half of the autumn term is where people can get tired and start to flag and think, oh, this is a very long kind of period that we're going through up till Christmas. But we've got to be consistent and keep that positive atmosphere going and really show and think about the Elm Green Way. Now, in terms of the lockdown, obviously schools are staying open, and I can see no way, looking at what the government are saying, looking at what the government is saying about exams next year, that isn't going to be the case. Unless something significant happens in the country, schools are staying open and you need to be coming to school. But you need to be coming to school as safely as possible. And the messages that we had around hands, face and space absolutely need to be adhered to, and be adhered to even more than they were last half term. Okay? We must sanitize. It's not like it's gone away, it's getting worse. So we must sanitize every time we move between bubbles or come into the school. We must wear a mask all the time in the corridors. Some students are wearing it in classrooms, we're saying that's fine, but you must wear it in all the public spaces of the school. Okay? It's about keeping yourself safe, but it's also about keeping other people safe. And that idea of space as well, that every time you're touching somebody, you're possibly transferring the coronavirus, and you just can't do that. We had some students were saying to me, why are we still open if we've had these cases? It's because we're in the middle of a global pandemic. We're going to have more cases because everybody will, but we need to make sure that we minimize the impact of those cases by sticking to those 3 rules. Also, of course, we've got to remember we've now got the added responsibility of being pretty much the only group of people, the school students and us as the teachers, who can be out and about really during lockdown in any sort of sensible way. So you have to be sensible in how you're coming to and going back from school. There's no hanging around outside shops. There's no hanging around in groups. You have to be safe, making sure you're keeping yourself safe, and of course, more importantly, making sure you're keeping the community around you safe by at the start of the day and at the end of the day going straight to school and going straight home. Okay? The other thing I would say, and I think is something which is a kind of positive about what's happened in the last 8 weeks in terms of the atmosphere of the school, but also a negative, is that I think that many of us are now getting used to the bubbles and almost kind of feeling almost like a little kind of relaxed sense of, we're in our bubble. It's almost like a large family unit, and in that family unit sometimes you kind of get a bit relaxed and feel a bit as if like you're at ease. Year 11 and year 13 especially, but also year 10 and the lower school to a lesser extent, these exams are not going away next year. The government is very clear in the documentation they've put out this week that they are saying that those exams are going on. Okay, so you have to remember in the next 8 weeks, this is the kind of crucial point of the school year in many ways, that you are working as hard as you can. That's getting to your lessons on time. That's not hanging around in the loos. That's not slowly walking out from the playground. You're in your lessons and working, because we are absolutely, as far as I'm aware at this point, going to be doing exams next year, and you absolutely have to make sure that you are as prepared as humanly possible for those exams, okay? Whether it's through online learning, whether it's from learning in the classroom, we've got to absolutely be trying our best, okay? So I just wanted to, it seems weird to do an assembly on a Thursday, but obviously this is the first day of lockdown, but also, we've settled down as we've come into the new half term, and it's just a message for the new term, okay? We're in lockdown. There's lots of terrible things happening in the world, but at Elm Green, we have shown the Elm Green way in the most fantastic way in the last 8 weeks, and for the next 6 or 7 weeks, you're going to show exactly the same fantastic Elm Green way that we look after ourselves, we look after each other, we look after our school, and we look after our community. And if we keep safe and do those things, then it's going to be a really great half term. Thank you.